Animal Farm is a collaboration between the Oldham Coliseum Theatre and Our North and follows the huge success of last year's tour of Jane Eyre. We chose Animal Farm because it's got a big cast, it's a well-known story.
The struggle must go on, we must work even harder!
Kevin and I decided to set the play in the 1950s, when particularly in Britain, the threat of communism was at its height. We very much decided to create two worlds. There's the world of what we're calling the pre-show, which is taking place inside an agricultural merchant store set at Wigan Pier, and we have as part of the pre-show some of the action of the play that's actually acted out by people who work in Mr. Crossfield's agricultural merchants. Then when we go into the play, the character of Mr. Crossfield becomes Mr. Jones, who owns Manor Farm, where the action of the book takes place. And it's the action of the book written by George Orwell that most people will be familiar with, particularly with what happens when the pigs take over the running of the farm.
My name's Gareth George and I'm playing the part of Major. Major is he's the oldest character in the story. He represents the figure of Karl Marx. So at the beginning of the play, Major is about to die, and before he dies he gives this huge speech to all of the animals, encouraging them to start a revolution against the human beings, and that kind of incites what happens in the rest of the play.
That is my message to you, comrades! Revolution!
So the speech that I deliver as Major is essentially Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto, so it can be quite a heavy speech, and at the end of the speech Major finishes with a song which he sings to all the animals, which they carry on forward throughout the rest of the play.
Of every land and clime, hearken to my joyful tidings of the golden future time.
So the other part I play is Napoleon's sheepdog, who represents the KGB. So Napoleon raised this young sheepdog from a young age, and he brings him up to be this kind of executioner of the rest of the animals.
We shall seek out those traitors in our midst, comrades. They will confess their sins and be punished accordingly. I play Napoleon in Animal Farm. The best thing about playing Napoleon is it's kind of the best of the worst thing. Having to be a 20-stone boar when I'm hopefully nothing like a 20-stone boar. In terms of the allegory of the Russian Revolution is Stalin, who I like to think I'm nothing like, but I don't know if I was casted for a reason. But yeah, it's quite difficult to play someone who's quite evil and trying to find sort of the sympathy for the character and the understanding, because you can't just play them as a bad person. So that's probably one of the biggest challenges that I've had doing this.
So I played the part of Snowball in Animal Farm. Snowball begins the play as being one of the most intelligent pigs on the farm, and his relationship with Napoleon is very level. Snowball's very brave, he's very courageous, and he has loads of ideas and enthusiasm, and he really rallies the other animals. And ultimately Napoleon is very jealous of him by about halfway through the play, and sort of Snowball meets his downfall through his ideas for revolution and for unity amongst the animals and stuff. He's a really admirable character. In fact, he's so intelligent that he kind of gets a bit blinded by that. So it's kind of, there's a few things that need tackling there, and also the fact that Napoleon begins as his friend and very quickly becomes his enemy. And Snowball, because he fights for the people, is unable to see that and is unable to see the bad in people.
I'm playing the part of Boxer in Animal Farm. I think a lot of what his role is within the play is he's the workhorse who is constantly working. His motto is "I will work harder." Is blissfully unaware of the political side of things and kind of gets caught up with it throughout the whole thing. The physicality of the horse, because of course we've got to be upright so people can see us, but I've still got to try and be as hunched over as possible and try and make hooves out of my hands, which is always fun. I think the character is very lovable. I'd like to think I'm lovable as a person as well, so that's I suppose that's what me and him have in common.
Hanging from a wire.